Alright, everybody, we have new Mythic Plus affixes hot off the presses 5 minutes ago. Wee woo, wee woo. It's time to wake up in plussers. Wee woo. Let's check these out. Please, God, do something to fuck up the wizards. Please. Please remove the wizard meta. Please, God. Please. I don't want to play wizard. Let's see. Ba-da-ba-da-ba. Okay, they're talking about the. This is once again just the normal Mythic Plus changes. Seasonal. You already know. Fucking Necrotic Wake. Ugh. They gotta retune this dungeon. This dungeon sucks. Um. And then we're also getting the crests are coming at a different level. They're like 9 and something else. But here we have the new affixes. New affixes. Before we dive into the specific of the new affixes, we would like to outline our goals and the purpose these affixes serve. Our overarching goal is to minimize the mechanical overlap between affixes and dungeon trash design in the current +4 affix bucket. We aim to achieve this through a more passive approach, focusing on the following objectives. Shift the source of challenge to the dungeon itself by simplifying affix design and emphasizing creature abilities. Reduce visual noise, please, thank you. Nameplate clutter and the cognitive load on player during trash combat. They're actually being... Ooh, okay. Allow for varied and context-specific gameplay decisions depending on the dungeon they're applied to. I kind of don't want to care about affixes, I'll be honest. Additionally, these affixes will include a positive effect. Oh, a little kiss curse in there. Okay. The aim of these positive effects is to highlight different damage types each week. Allowing each specialization additional opportunities to excel during the season. I don't like that. That's not. I'm. That does not feel like the right way to do this. That. Uh, mm, Fixing Mythic Plus by making some specs do more damage than other specs at a random week isn't it? Players will have an opportunity to flex towards different talents, gearing options, and consumables to capitalize on these effects. Oh, I don't like this at all. This is not the way you increase the amount of viability in Mythic Plus. This is how you go back to the previous system where you would only play a perfect week and then won't play anything else for score. And that is kind of cringe and sucks. Let's look at the affixes first, I guess. Let me see my... Okay, my face is kind of blocking. Here, I'll do this. I'll drag myself back down here. And then... Okay, so we can actually see them. But, I don't... Like... What the fuck, man? You know, let's just read them before I get mad. Recklessness. Non-boss enemies without mana ignore 20% armor with their attacks, but their armor is reduced by 30%, and they take 10% additional arcane damage. So that's a buff to physical. Okay. Arcane damage? Non-boss enemies without mana inflict physical damage to their attackers when attacked, but take 10% increased holy and shadow damage. I mean, that's... Non-boss enemies with mana inflict 20% increased magic damage, but take 10% increased nature and 30% increased damage from bleed effects. I don't know about the increased magic. Man, they're like fucking tanks. Non-boss enemies with mana have 30% increased haste, but take 10% increased frost and fire damage. Man, I feel bad for tanks. Oh my god. Okay, initially, I'll be honest. Initially, I saw this, and I saw Holy and Shadow damage, Nature damage, Frost and Fire damage, Arcane damage, 30% increased bleed effects. This one, but their armor is reduced by 30%. That's a lot of physical damage. So this is like the physical week. But oh, I just read some shit. Okay, okay. Let's talk about these first, and then I just read some shit. Okay, all right. Armors would do. Okay, I mean, I guess it does incentivize each week, and then like bleed effects. Like, oh, this is the arms week. Hey, maybe you can play because arms will do a lot more damage with bleeds, and then this is like, oh, you'll just do more. So there's actually two decent. Honestly, a lot of these feel like they incentivize physical dealers. Um, I don't you know what? I was very doomer because I read all of these and I just thought mages were like fucking wizards were buffed again, but then I saw armors reduced by 30%. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, we're gonna do a ton of damage to trash. And then we can still do, with warriors have flat damage and bleed effects. Okay, I was more doomer as I read this, but as I like actually read it, I'm like, okay. Because they want to add kiss curse shit into the game, and they want to be like, hey, guess what? Maybe you can run more of a physical comp this week. Maybe it is. It's. I still don't necessarily like the idea that they're like, "Hey, you're going to do a bunch more damage to trash mobs as a melee DPS this week." Are you? And then the response is, "But are you actually going to try and balance Mythic Plus so you're not playing these specs just because they literally do 10% more damage for that week? Are we going to get actual balance, or is this like a stopgap where it's like, hey guys, here's your week, yay! And then we're like, can we get balance, please? Can Warrior hard capped at 5 fucking well, I mean, it's actually a little different now with the introduction of hero talents, admittedly, because Colossus does mainly physical. Thane's going to do a ton of nature damage, which nature damage and bleed effects. This will be really good for Thane. Slayer's primarily physical, so Slayer will still be good here. But I mean, maybe it'll incentivize people to play Mountain Thane in this week, and Slayer Colossus in this week. It might be interesting. But I don't like the idea of like I'm being very cynical when I say this, right? I'm being very cynical when I say, hey, oh, well, we're not really going to balance you for Mythic Plus. We're just going to make it so every other week, you can do a lot more damage and be viable. Warrior can be capped at 5 targets, still not do the most damage at 5 targets, but hey, I'm very, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like that. I like the idea of Kiss Curse. I don't necessarily like the idea of, hey, you have to play this week because it's this affix combo, and if you don't play this week, then you will not have a good week for another 2 months. And it's like, you need to do this fortified week and this tyrannical week within this 3-month span, and if you don't push hard those weeks, you are fucked. And it's like, which won't be the case. Like, let's be real. That's not going to be the case because you're still going to be able to do any Mythic Plus to a certain level. I would honestly say you will still be able to do any Mythic Plus Keystone at a title level without needing this extra damage. So having the Kiss Curse is like a fun bonus is actually still going to be very nice, and it's not required to get title or high rating or anything like that. However, it will help, and you will probably start playing around those weeks exclusively, is my guess for I mean, maybe not exclusively, but you'll really want to play around those weeks. But another interesting part of this system is with certain weeks having bonus effects and bonus affixes and doing different damage types and increased damage types. Let's say with the Warbound system, and you're actually able to gear alts decently, maybe now it's like, oh, hey, it's Frost and Fire week. It's Frost Fire. Hey, you know what? Fuck it, dude. Let's play my mage, right? Oh, it's nature. Sure, let's try out my. I mean, I'm gonna be playing warrior, so it's probably gonna be like a mountain thing week. It's like, oh, let's try out my druid, or let's try out my shaman, or oh, let's get my shadow priest some stuff going. I think this is actually, honestly, the more I talk about it and the more I think about it, the more I kind of like it. I initially had a very strong negative reaction to it, but the more I'm talking about it and thinking about it and looking at it, I go, you know what, this is actually a pretty decent idea. You know, um, I'm still not a fan of, hey, you're doing negative 10% damage because you're not playing on Reckless Week. Woo! I don't like that. It won't be required, but it still is going to feel kind of weird. And it might actually incentivize people not bringing you when it's in that incentivized week, especially when you consider how volatile the WoW community is and how, like, meta focused they become. So it's like, oh, hey, we're going to do this. Oh, hey, we're going to do that. But, doing that, they'll be like, oh, I don't want to bring a warrior this week because they don't do frost and fire damage. Like, but whatever. But now here's some real meat. Here's some real juice. With the new passive affix set to replace, so this is replacing the +4 bucket. So there will always be a bonus, right? The following affixes will be retired for season 1. Afflicted, fuck you, afflicted. Incorporeal, fuck you, incorporeal. Adding or forcing you to use your dispels and CC on shit that you don't want to do, and thereby take away your utility from your general play to deal with an affix, sucks. And classes like Warrior can't do anything about it. I think those fixes were a failure. Entangling, honestly, I wouldn't mind if Entangling stayed, but they're replacing the +4 row with these, so every week we'll have a bonus, right? So that makes sense why it's going away. Storming, fuck you, Storming. I hate Storming. Storming can go die. I'm so glad Storming is gone because as a class, especially with them removing a lot of the +3 range classes, the amount of tornadoes you get and the amount of crap you're dealing with is just really annoying and not fun. So getting rid of that is good. And then if you're like, say, the only healer, the only ranged, and you're getting Volcanic every other global, it's good for them to remove Volcanic as well. So I think the +4 fix thing will be good. It's very interesting. I like it. To match the number of fixes in our level 4 bracket and align our fix goals with the War Within, we will be retiring Spiteful as well. Okay. I would rather have them removed Bolstering. Bro, why? This is the perfect opportunity to get rid of fucking Bolstering. Now you have Bolstering mobs that are going to do 20% increased magic damage? Ah, oh, fuck. No, dude. No. This was the perfect. They're removing one affix from the 7 row. This was the perfect time to remove it. The perfect time to remove Bolstering. Perfect. The perfect time to remove Bolstering, man. Oh, what a miss. What an absolute miss. Maybe we can convince him to remove it because you're just not going to play on bolstering weeks, right? Like, how are you going to play against a pack of dungeon mobs that are ignoring 20% of your tank's armor, inflict additional, have their thorned damage reflected back at attackers doing bonus damage because they're non-boss enemies and they're buffed by like fortified and bolstering, 20% more magic damage, 30% more haste. You can't buff mobs like this and keep bolstering in the game. You just can't. It's not like you can't do that. I mean, technically there's going to be some play around where it's like enemies with mana inflict 20% increased magic damage. So okay, we need to kill those enemies first, but most packs have like 1 or 2. And if you're doing any higher key and you're pulling like 3 or 4 packs, that means, oh, well, now we're maybe pulling 3 packs, 6 of them, or like 5 or 6 of them have mana. And if we don't kill those mana users evenly, instantly, we're just fucking tanked. I don't know. And even then, like, even just the haste one for non-boss enemies, like, I don't. This was. What a fucking miss, dude. This was the perfect, literal perfect. We're removing one affix to match the +4 bucket. Perfect opportunity to take bolstering out back into the shed and come back after a loud bang with a smile on your face. This was the perfect opportunity for this, and they missed it. Maybe we can complain on the forums, be like, please, please. Maybe they can fix this. Because literally, look at these effects. Raging can be dealt with. Bursting can be dealt with. Sanguine, annoying can be dealt with. Bursting, annoying can be dealt with. Bolstering is something that changes fundamentally how the dungeon works, and that's not what they want. They need to take it out back. Bolstering needs to go out back. Just keep Spiteful. Who cares? Keep Spiteful. Spiteful wasn't that bad. Spiteful actually negatively impacts melee compared to ranged. Maybe that's why they decided to take Spiteful out. I don't know. But maybe they could have just, I don't know, made Spiteful ethereal beings that you can't actually, like... Maybe they give them the incorporeal treatment, so they're, like, you're not really casting on them, but you can, like, CC them fine. But if, let's say you're in a pack of mobs and some Spitefuls spawn, as a 5-target capped warrior, you're like, oh, fucking... Now Spiteful's just literally eating my damage, right? Because it's eating my beyond target cap, it's eating important shit. Whereas ranged players are like, haha, no target cap, hee hee, my ignite spreads, hee hee, my blizzard's just everywhere, my beast cleave is everywhere, my dots are everywhere, my fucking frontal cone hits, I'm an Aug Evoker, I'm a Shadow Priest, I'm spreading dots to everything, and everything's taking damage from the primary target anywhere you're at. So I mean, I guess it also helps melee because it removes something purely negative to them, but they got, like, this was such a perfect opportunity to shotgun bolstering. And even if they wanted to still remove Spiteful, they could have just put something, like, just put Entangling in or something, man. Like, you could have just moved Entangling up here. Like, this would have been fine. I mean, it would have made the Entangling week easier, but, like, who cares? Tyrannical and Fortified. We're still experimenting with how these affixes fit in our updates. We believe these changes will offer a refreshing experience and redefine the Mythic Plus system. So these, I think this is a good idea. But this, bolstering needs to go. I like the idea of this, honestly. I think it's pretty good. I was definitely doing at the start, but we'll have to see how it plays out. And we'll really, really have to see how these affixes, which are purely focused on non-boss enemies, scale with Fortified. Because this could be a, like, literally fine or a nightmare, especially for tanks. I don't even want to think how much extra damage tanks are going to take with just these affixes. 20% armor negative, 20% magic bonus, 30% haste, additional physical damage to everybody. Like, we'll have to see. Like, does this scale with Fortified? I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see, but man. Get bolstering out, brother. Get it out. Get it out, man. Alright, well, we're getting more updates. We're getting new stuff. Hopefully we get a new beta build. Hopefully, one thing I'm looking to do with Warrior is I want to go through and, like, sit down and talk about each class and spec and their hero talents just myself. But once they fix all the bugs, I want to really put some time into playing these things on the beta. And hopefully there's a lot of bug fixes, maybe some additional changes. And I want to talk about Warrior kind of week to week. As well as we get closer, maybe another... I would still like to do more of those, like, podcasty yap things of the State of Warrior with some people in the community. So that's some stuff to look forward to, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.